Hello, my name's Rob. This is my 300 TDI Disco 1, and today we're going to be fitting a CB radio. So we got the CB radio itself, big old brain of the operation. Got a little mount in there to get it tucked away nice. We've also got power cord for it. This currently has the 12 volt like cigarette lighter adapter on it, but I'm going to chop the end off. I think we'll do a permanent install for that one. We've also got some extras and also the handle for it, so you can actually talk to people. We've got the antenna cable and bracket there for the coaxial cable. We've also got a big agri-spec whip, about 1.5 meters. So we're going to see about installing this today, see if there's any tips and tricks I might be able to pass on to everybody else. But yeah, let's crack on. Right, antenna placement. Been doing some research, had a look at some sort of factory fitted ones, and they're mounted straight into the top of the wing about here, which would mean doing away with the little bracket that comes with the kit, but I'll be able to use everything else and use the wing as the bonded surface. I've checked this for continuity to the negative terminal, and it's actually pretty good, so I think we'll be going ahead with that as long as it cleans up nice. But it'll sort of mount up about there, and then I'm thinking I'll make a little bracket to go into the rain channel over here just to hold it back neat, and then when you get it in use and you're on the lanes bashing about, you sort of because we're using coaxial cable, the inner element, which is represented by the bolt, needs to be kept separate from the outer here for the outer screen. So being careful not to measure the thread diameter here. You've got to measure diameter on this nylon washer, which has a slight step on it, in order to insulate it from the body that you're mounting it to. This one measures up at 12.5 millimeters, which in here is near as makes no difference, ½ inch, give or take. So with that, we've got our step up sizes here for the drill bits in order to get the final size hole there. Now, this being a LandRover, I did think it best to check that I could actually get the bonnet open once it's installed before drilling any holes. Now we've got the area masked off, ready to plot out where we want to drill. So it's just about figuring out where you want to position it now. We've got the coax mount stripped down to its parts here, so you can see the conductor there for the shield, and then on the inside there for the cable. I don't think I'll pick it up, but the idea is that's going to go that way up inside the arch, meet it from the bottom, and we're going to have it mounted something like that there. I think I might go a bit further forward with it though. And then it's all about just trying to get it through the inner wing and then into the firewall and into the cabin. So I figured out whereabouts I want it here. You see I've got it masked off here because it is obviously a show car. But yeah, sort of falling in line there with where the Camel Trophy type ones are. I'll put a picture up on the screen in a minute. Time to get a pilot hole in there, and then we'll start opening up to final size. Oh, there we go. Get the hole opened up there, deburred nice, so there's no sharp edges. And yeah, we're going to see about trying to clean up the inside of the wing here from the bottom. Hole bonded off nice. Turns out you need a big old spanner, a little bit of sandpaper, masking tape, and just get your arm inside and give it a good bond off. So we got this all buttoned up now. I've had to bend the panel ever so slightly. You can see there just from the deformation in the paint. It was just sitting way too far over here somewhere. So I've straightened it up a bit. It's not quite straight yet, but I think this is going to be close enough for us. Now, before we go any further with any other installation or drilling holes, we want to check the continuity on the coaxial cable here. So we want to make sure that we've got continuity on the shield on the outside, but not on the inside for the antenna. I'll just show you how to do that now. So down here I've got my multimeter. I've just got it set to continuity. So when you hear the beep, you've got a good continuity on there. And we're going to be going to the negative terminal on the battery as our main earth. So we'll go to the center now. So we want to make sure that we don't hear anything now. Yeah, that's nice and quiet. And if we go to the outer shielding on the cable and to the main earth, got good continuity there, so we can continue with the build. Look at that there. Got a beautiful bung in there. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to use the two down here. The drill just doesn't want to centralise on them. Ends up biting and kicking off. So I've had to start a new one, but I did get it up as high as possible, so we can still hit the deep water wading paths. But I did check beforehand. You want to make sure that there's no wires on the other side that you're going to drill into. Last thing you need is popping through the backside there and then taking out your central locking, for example, or something daft like that. But yeah, plenty of sealant. Get it well sealed up around there. Same on the inside, and then we're going to pop round inside now and do some boring interior with it. Right, so ran out of time the other day, but I did manage to just whip up a little mount up here just to keep it secure so I could drive it. Now it's onto the interior bits. So I already fed the coaxial cable through up underneath the dash there, up the A-pillar a little bit, and I'm having a look. I popped this side off all the way up. I'm thinking I'll be able to run it through this channel up here and then mount the radio something like that in front of this panel. I should be able to get away with just like two tiny little holes on the edge there, so it'll look sort of nice and neat up out the way. And try and pull the cable through the cavity there to the top of the A-pillar using just a length of old wire. We'll see how we get on. So I've got the coaxial cable through for the antenna. That runs all the way back down there, down the A-pillar, and then through the bottom there. But when I've pulled apart the power cord, it's only just long enough to go from here down to the cigarette lighter anyway. So luckily I found a spare plug in the back of here, thanks to LandRover. I've done some pinning with the multimeter. I found good earth there and also a switch 12-volt supply. So the idea is I keep the inline fuse here as an additional protection, and then try and pin in to that existing plug there. And then all we got to do, a couple of little holes in the edge of this panel, nice and tight, and then you'll be able to fit them in through the back there and get it all wired up. Nice. Things got a little bit out of control. Trying to use the three cables off the back of here. For me, I've got ground in the middle there with black, and then I think it's the green and brown on the right hand side as me switch live. So I'm going to use that in order to get a good connector to it. I've had to take off like all this bit here, all this bit of paneling, but there is a good earth point there that was already in use, so I tested that. That has got good continuity on there. It's just a case of trying to get in there as good as I can to make that a nice neat job, and then just sort of splice into it and get it connected up and get back to you once I've got it all heat shrunk on. There we have it. After about 5 minutes with the heat shrink and the crimping tool, we've got all our connectors linked up here. So we got there's a second earth that came off the back of that plug. I've just heat shrunk over the end of that. It's overkill really, but just peace of mind more than anything. I've put the earth from the plug onto this body mount here, and we've got a spade connector on the switched power. This lines up with the end that's going to the radio. So we've got the earth here with a ring connector that's also going to go over there, and then we've got a female spade connector here. I didn't have an insulated one, so I've had to put the heat shrink all the way up to the edge just to make sure it doesn't actually ground out against the body in there. And by doing this, I've managed to keep the inline fuse that comes with the kit. There's actually a spare one inside the container as well, just in case it does blow. Yeah, nice and simple. I'm going to get it all plugged in, all connected up, and then we'll get on to cable routing for the back of the radio. There we go, we've got the trim back on now. A little bit of a struggle, but there is 10 screws going across the top here, behind all the sun visors, but that's all back together now. Got our 2 cables coming through, got the power and earth, and then the coax for the antenna. We just need to make a couple of small holes in the back of this panel here, and then mount up the radio, something like that, I think, but the right way up. So I'm gonna flip around the clips on that a little bit, get her on there, and then we just got to find out somewhere to put the handheld so you can actually talk to people. I was wondering whether to mount it up here, but I don't think it's going to be quite secure enough, so we'll have a little look, but it could end up going something like this, or even on the back side of here, but we'll find out in a minute. Ran into a couple of issues trying to mount the radio up there. The coaxial cable connection was way too long, and it was fouling onto the little panel here that I'm going to try and put back in. So using the latest in cardboard aided design, I just whipped up this little bracket here. I got some 5/16 by 1/8 rivets in here, holding them together, and just another load of 1/8 holes there. They're on a 3/8 land all the way around, and I'm going to be able to use the original screws that came with the kit then. But in order to get them into the plastic, I've gone and got myself a little length of welding wire. The idea being I can get this nice and hot and just give it a poke through to help those threads get started in there. Well, top tip for the future, if you put any screws into plastic, a little bit of hot welding wire. Made some great starting holes for these screws up inside here. Now we're just sort of eyeing up where I'm going to be trying to fit these cables through. Really, I don't want to be going through where it clips on this panel, because it was held in really well beforehand. I just don't want to go compromising it, because it'll start rattling and stuff ends up falling apart. But I think if I can get it up into the corner there, I'll be able to get them well out of the way, without sort of like ruining the clip that's on the side of there. So we'll see. I'll probably just do it onto the front panel first, but realistically I might just pull all the cables out of the way. I'm thinking I'm going to send a hot nail through there to melt a nice hole, just so it's nice and neat. Last thing we need is like trying to drill plastic. It's just comes out awful. That went really well. Got a tight little hole there. I'm gonna run these into the back of the radio, and then start figuring out where the handle's gonna go. But before I do any of that, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get some alcohol on this and just wipe off all the Sharpie marks just to tidy it up. But I think I'm gonna keep the brushed aluminium look because I quite like it. Right, there we have it. The radio's actually plumbed in now. The panel back on, nice and tight. Cable's disappearing in there. I can see the display clearly from where I'm sat. And I've found a location to attach this to. I've just got it tucked down the back of the panel at the moment, but I figured if I straightened it out, I could actually mount it here on the face there, and it would still sort of like tuck back inside there when the visor's up and it's not in your field of view. So I just need to get the lighter out again, get the welding wire on this, and just put a couple of holes in there for the screws, and then I'm going to straighten this out, get it mounted up, and I'll see you when I've done that. Okay, so the install up here went much better than I thought it was. Dead straightforward. Last thing to do, just pop it on. There we go. Nice and easy. Everything works. I need a drink. Well, hope the video was useful. If you want to see anything else going on with the disco, please follow. There'll be loads of videos coming soon. Just starting to get this rolling really, but got big plans ahead. and yeah, keep you posted.